All right, good morning. We're going to switch gears today and we're going to talk about the coordinate plane. And so I'm going to aim you over to our graph. This is the best way I can do it, y'all that are on the recording and remotely, but I hope you can see this coordinate plane. This is called the Cartesian coordinate plane. So if you hear the word Cartesian, let me write that for you. Right here. I don't know if I like this chalk. I did that so that if you see Cartesian on your test, you don't have to be freaked out. It's just the name of this. Oh. Okay. And so what we're going to talk about, it's divided into 4 parts. And the 4 parts are called quadrants. Quadrants, here's the word. The 4 parts are quad, makes sense, quadrant, okay? And they're numbered. So, and there's a pretty good chance they'll ask you what quadrant is this point in? And so you will have to know the quadrants. I think that top right is always a beginning, don't you think, top right? And so this is quadrant number 1, and they use Roman numerals for this. Now, as you go quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, they're counterclockwise. And so this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant number 3, and this is quadrant number 4. Also, what we're going to find out with the quadrants are positives and negatives and what is involved in each. There we go. That's better. Okay. What type of numbers are involved in these places. And we're going to talk more about this, but whenever you see a coordinate plane, up until now, we've been graphing simply on a number line, okay, where we had 0. And coming this way are positive numbers, and going to the left are negative numbers, okay? That's what we've been graphing on so far. But now what we have are 2 number lines, and it's perfectly fine. We've named those number lines so that, oh wow, they're gonna clean the eraser. Wow. We've named those number lines so that we don't get them mixed up. So the horizontal number line is exactly the way our number line is that we've been using all along. Right here is the 0, and as you come this direction, the numbers are positive, and as you go to the left, the numbers are negative, okay? So it's nothing new at all. This is simply a number line. Some people like to go ahead and put arrows on here. It does go on forever. The lines go on forever. This is a huge coordinate plane. It could have thousands out here. Okay, now in this coordinate plane, now that we have 2 number lines, we're going to name the other one y. Now, sometimes when we've been working with variables, we've been able to interchange and say, oh, it could be x and y, it could be a and b, it could be h and k, but in this case, the horizontal axis, we call it an axis, the horizontal axis will always be x. There's not a change. It will always be x. And the vertical means up and down, it will always be the y-axis. This will be important to you. It's not hard, but you need to remember that the horizontal one is x, the vertical one is y. And on the graph paper that I ran off for you, you will label these each time, and so you'll learn those quickly.
What was the name of the one on that side, the right-hand side, up there where the X is at? What's that called?
The x-axis. The line itself isn't called a number line anymore. It's called an axis. I know. I bought 100 of these. I don't know if I'm going to like them. And this is the y-axis. Okay? So it's not the y number line anymore. It's the y-axis. Okay? Just like we have an axis in our earth. You know, it's what everything is hooked to. Okay. And also there's another word that you might see. You don't have to let this bother you. Notice that this is the y-axis. This is the x-axis. That's singular. If you see this word, it's simply talking about more than one axis. So if you see axes, they're just talking about more than one axis. It's just plural. Okay? So on the y-axis, just like I said, it is a number line again also. So right in the middle is 0. And so as we move up in an upward direction, these are positive numbers. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, positive. And as we move down, they're going to be negative numbers. Y'all see? Now that you know all the parts, let's see if there are any questions first. Any questions about the parts? Because now we're going to talk about points. Now, remember that when we talked last week, get some of my old stuff out here. When we talked last week, we talked about a point. And a point is just a single location in space. Okay, somewhere in space. But now we can pinpoint some of those points on our coordinate plane. Our coordinate, I just call it graph, but the coordinate plane, okay? So what we're going to do is, I'm going to move over here now and help you all. We're going to talk about plotting points. So here is the x-axis. Notice how it goes horizontal. And notice the numbers. Now on this particular graph right here, they're counting by ones, but they don't put 1, 2. Do you see? So here's 0. This is what we call 0, 0. Okay, this is the origin. It's called the origin. This point is called the origin. And it has an address, just like an address where somebody would live. And the address is 0, 0. You'll see the meaning for this a little bit later, like now. But the origin is at 0, 0. It's at the 0 on the x-axis and the 0 on the y-axis. And that's why it's named 0, 0. This location for this point, somewhere in space, okay? Now, what I want you to do is think of this coordinate plane as the city of Lubbock, maybe. A city, okay? And each one of these are streets going east and west and north and south, okay? And every one of the, well, people live all over here. Now, we're only going to talk right now about the people that live in the intersections. Later on, I'll tell you the halfway and you'll understand it. But right now, we're only going to talk about the people that live in an intersection where these intersect, okay? So here's how you decide where somebody lives. let's say, let's do this point right here. Now I want to know the address of this point, okay? Now the address looks like this. It's a coordinate pair. And every single time, the number that is in front will be how far you went on the x-axis, and the number that's in the back will be how far you went on the y-axis, okay? So we're going to find the address of this point right here in space. If you're trying to find the address, you always start at the origin, okay? We don't count the origin, but that's where we start. So right here is where I'm going to start. I want to know what this address is. The first number that I'm going to give, it always has two numbers. The first number is how far I go from the origin on the x-axis. So from here, I'm going to go, this is walking blocks or driving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks on the x-axis, because now it's time to turn, okay? So I went 7 blocks till I got to a turn, and then I went 1, 2. Since I went up, that's like the y-axis. Going up and down is like the y-axis, and so we went 2 blocks. We don't count where we turned because that's already been counted. 1, 2. And so we went 2 blocks, and that's how I know where to go to this point. Y'all see? The X is always the first one, and then the Y is the second one, always. Okay, when we are plotting points. Let's plot another point. Now, what quadrant is this point in?
1.
Quadrant number 1. So let's just name this. This is quadrant number 1. Okay, quadrant number 1, and any point, anybody that lives in here lives in quadrant 1. All right, let's do another point, but let's go here. How about here? Let's find out where this guy lives, okay? So we know that the first value is how far we go on the x-axis, and the second one is how far we go up and down. This left and right, up and down. Okay. So remember, if we're plotting a point and we're trying to find the address, we start at the origin, right? Okay, so we start at the origin and we're trying to go to this house, and we know we have to go horizontally first. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? But look at the direction that we went.
-5.
Yes, it's a -5. So we went -5 on the x-axis, and then we have to turn and go to his house. So we don't count where we turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, which direction did we go?
Positive.
We went up, so it's positive. That is exactly right. And so the address of this point is going to be -5, 6. Y'all see? Okay. What quadrant is this point in?
2.
2. Very nice. Let's get some color up there that we can see. This is quadrant 2.
Like our paper doesn't have those numbers, but on the test, is our test gonna have the numbers like that, or it's gonna be like this?
But I haven't seen
It could be either way. Okay. Okay. And I will tell you before we go on that some of the graphs that they might give you on the test, you need to look at the numbers because they may not count by ones. This may be 5, 10, 15, 20, but they'll indicate that.
Right.
if they'll put those on the graph. So be sure and look and see what they're counting by. Some of them even count by 10, 20, 30, 40. So be sure and look. If it's just like the blank that you have, assume that it's by ones. Okay? All right. So now it's time to plot a point down here. Let's plot this. How about this point? Okay, we're going to plot this point. Remembering again that the first coordinate is going to be how far we go horizontally on the x-axis. And then the second one will always be how far we go up and down. Okay, so you guys look just really quick and tell me what you think it is.
2.
I heard somebody.
It's 2 going down from 2.
Yes, but you don't say that one first. You have to
Okay.
do the across one on the x-axis first.
Yeah.
And I know that it's hard for you guys remotely to see that. I hope I'm writing big enough.
Oh, I can see it.
Come on up. Okay, it's a little ways, so Irene's going to count. She needed to come up and count. So you start from the origin. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Do we count this?
No, you just count across the
Oh.
x-axis.
1, 2, 3.
No. Oh, I see what you were
Yeah.
asking, but you count up here.
Right.
So 1,
1,
2, 3. Because see the number?
Oh, yeah.
It's 4. I just moved from this, you know. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So which direction did we go?
Negative 13.
Okay, so this is a negative 13. Okay, and now she counted this way on the x-axis and got to negative 13. And now she's going to count, she's turning the block. She's going to count down. Start here. Because see, you came this far and this is where your car is.
Okay.
Now turn. So there, and this is 1. This is really, see there's 1.
Oh, 1.
1, 2. And which direction did we go?
Minus 2?
Negative 2. We went down, and so it's negative 2.
Negative 2.
Get in the way. Thank you. You want to look at this again while you're up here? The only reason this one's hard is because they made that gap on this screen. And they wanted a place for the numbers. But there's really a line that goes, see it?
Yeah.
And then there's a line that goes here and here. They just left it out because they wanted to put the numbers there. You see, so it's misleading.
Oh.
Okay? So the coordinates of this point right here, when they ask what the coordinates are, that just means the address. Okay?
And that's all we do. We put that down. There's no adding, dividing, multiplying.
I told you it's going to be better.
Like that's the answer?
This is the answer. Now, on the first few pages of your packet, it's going to ask you, first of all, to plot these numbers, or the first one might have them plotted, and you have to say what the coordinates are. I don't remember which. It does it both ways for you, so you can practice this. But do you guys understand this? Okay, and what quadrant is this in?
3.
3.
This is in quadrant 3.
3.
Yes, I heard you. I think it was Josh, maybe Isabel. I'm a little ways away from y'all.
That was me.
Okay, and so this is quadrant 3. So let's plot a point somewhere in quadrant 4. Okay, guys? Let me pick one. I know. No, let me pick one. Okay, let's do this one. This point. We already know this is quadrant 4, so while you're figuring that, want y'all to be able to see this, and red is peeping out on us. All right. Rebecca, you want to come up here with us? Here's, I'll just put your parentheses for you. And we'll give you different.
So this one here,
Yes.
that's 1,
Uh-huh.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8. Good. Good. Here's where you turn. Okay.
Go 1,
Uh-huh.
2, 3, 6, 7,
8. Good, and you didn't miss the negative. Okay. Awesome. She said we always start at the origin. We went 8. And now when we move down, that's in a negative direction, okay? And so it's 8, -8. Good job. You guys are good. Okay, now the one thing I'd like to point out, and you can use this if you want. I have seen questions on the test for this, and it says, what are the signs of the coordinates in quadrant 1? And so we tell them that anything up here in quadrant 1, any of the points would be in a positive direction and a positive direction, right? Anything that's in quadrant 1 is going to be positive, right? So it's going to be a positive. I'm sorry for the mess, but I want y'all to be able to see that you remote student. Oh. And you might see it like this. It says, what indicates the coordinates in quadrant 1? It is a positive and a positive. Oh, I did it sideways. I shouldn't have done that. Let me do this.
So when they ask you that, so what are we looking for?
Nothing. They just want to know that you understand quadrants. Oh. Positive and positive. So quadrant 2, what would we tell them?
It would be negative, wouldn't it?
Negative.
Positive.
Negative.
Negative and positive?
Negative and positive, because anything up here in quadrant 2 is going to be a negative direction and then a positive direction. So we have negative and positive. So tell me quadrant 3.
Negative, negative.
Very nice. You're liking this, aren't you?
Yes.
Negative and negative. Looks like a little sleepy face, doesn't he? Yes. It's getting ready for bed in quadrant 3. And tell me quadrant 4.
Negative and
Good positive.
Negative and a positive.
negative and negative?
Okay, plot a
Because
point there.
I see negative there.
Yes, you do, but what do you do first?
Positive?
Positive,
The
negative.
positive, you do that
Positive, negative.
first, right?
Oh,
You go positive and then negative, right?
also it matters on that too.
Oh, yeah. So in quadrant 4, all of your points are going to have a positive and then a negative. Yes, she asked me, oh, it's important to do X, Y here also. Yes, absolutely. X and Y. Okay. And if you'll look at what we plotted a little while ago, notice that this is a positive number, this 7's positive, and that 2 is positive. Positive and positive, right? Did it work over here? Negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, negative, and positive, negative, okay? They may ask you that. Now, here's what we're gonna do. I wonder if I ought to get rid of some of these. Well, no, it's okay. Now, what if it isn't in quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4? Understand that the axis is not a part of any of the quadrants. This axis is not a part of any of the the quadrants, okay? So let's look at this point right here. I want to plot this point. Now I need to know the coordinates of this point right here, okay? Now we're going to do it exactly the same way we've done all along. You have to find out how far you're going to go on the x-axis and then the up and down, okay? The y direction. So if I start at the origin, how far am I going on the x-axis?
6.
6.
6.
Can't see.
Okay. So the first one, the x-axis is 6. Now this is where I usually turn the corner, right? But I'm already at their house. Do I have to go up or down?
So it'll be 0.
It would be 0. So if you are asked what quadrant this is in, it's not in a quadrant. You would say it's on the x-axis. It's not in a quadrant. Now this one and this next one, students have a problem getting these mixed up. So concentrate on these now and remember how we name these coordinates, okay? So I want to know the location of this point.
-5.
I heard Josh say something. Would you say it again? Say it again.
You said a -5.
Be
-5 and then?
0.
Yes. Josh told us that we start here and I heard you guys counting also. Whoops. Deborah said yes to the wrong thing.
It'd be 0, -5.
What do we count first?
0.
We,
The y
yes,
axis.
we count how far we went on the x-axis. Did I
Yeah.
go anywhere on the x-axis? No.
No. Be 0.
So I went 0,
Negative
then
0.
I go
Negative.
down 1, 2,
Positive 0.
-5.
Yeah.
Because I always start here. I want to travel to this point. How far did I travel on the x-axis? I didn't go any blocks. So I'm still at the origin. And then I moved up and down for the y coordinate. You'll get to practice these. So be very careful on the ones that are on the axes. Okay? Notice that both of the points and all of the points actually that are on the axis will have 0 somewhere in there, but it's very important where the 0 is. Okay? So be very careful and remember that this point right here is not in a quadrant. If you're asked, it's not in a quadrant, it's on the x-axis. Okay? And this is on the y-axis. How are we doing? Okay. Any questions, y'all?
No, ma'am.
No, I'm good.
Okay, Josh, you fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now, so we'll move on to the next thing that they're going to ask you to do on your worksheets. They're going to ask you to plot 2 points and then join those points to make a line segment. So let's say that we have this point and this point. Hopefully you can ignore the rest. I may erase those, but they tell you to plot this point and then this point. As long as you have 2 locations, 2 points, you can create a line segment, or actually a line. They're going to have you connect these 2 points, almost, to make a line segment. A segment means that it has 2 endpoints. The line means it goes all the way through and continues forever, but we just made a line segment and all you need is 2 points. Now, from our definition, we know there's a million points in between, but all I need to do is draw one is the two midpoints. This is a line segment. They're going to ask you to do this on one of your pages. And when you create a line segment, we're also going to find out how long these segments are, how far it is from one person's house to the other person's house. Okay? Now, this is going to be very, very easy if we had a point here and a point here, and we made a line segment, then we could find out how long that was, because all we would have to do is start here and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so the length of this, or the distance between the 2 points, is 9, right? Very, very easy. And the same thing here. If I had 2 points and joined those for a segment, it's very, very easy to find the distance. Start here, 1, 2, 3. The distance is 3, okay? But the problem comes in when it's slanted, and we don't know how far this is to there, or this is to there, or this is to there, okay? So we have what we call a distance formula. Now I'm going to try to split between this and the blackboard, because I'm going to talk to you about the distance formula over there. Are there any questions about this bunch of stuff here right now?
No.
Okay, everybody okay? So what we're going to try to do now is to find how long this segment is. Now, on the test or even on activities, it's going to say how far is it from here to here. Or they might say find the length of this segment. But what we're actually going to be doing is finding the distance. And if you'll remember the word distance, then you'll know that we're going to use the distance formula to find out how far it is from here to here. That is on your formula chart, so you can start to find that on your formula chart. And we'll move back over here to the blackboard, and we'll use the distance formula to find the length of that line segment, Okay, so the 2 points, let's just go ahead and get rid of this. Nope, don't like that chalk. Dang it. I'm going to erase. All right, the 2 points that I drew the line segment between were -5, 6, and that's a 7. 7, 2, I think. Is that right? Yes. Okay, the distance formula says, and y'all can keep me online, but I think the distance is square root of, and does it start with the x1 or the y1? Are y'all looking at it?
No.
Okay, then I'm
It
just,
is.
I think it's x. Okay, x1 minus x2 squared.
I already looked at it. It says D equals RT. Is that the
No.
right one?
No, it's this long one. That's distance equals rate times time.
Where's the
Well,
distance
if
one?
the slope of the line is
No.
YA minus.
Let me look at your formula chart and make sure. I'm sure it's there. But it might not be. Might not be.
It says slope of the line.
No, not slope. We'll use that. Ooh.
Distance.
Mm-mm.
This all that distance formula. That was the only one.
Yeah, okay. Obviously, this is not on your formula chart. It is my thought that on the GED test, if they want you to find the distance, they'll probably give you the formula, but it won't hurt for you guys to practice it enough that you
So what's
know
the
it.
distance formula?
This is the distance formula.
Square root?
Yes, and it's used to find how far it is on a coordinate graph between points. And then I'll show you how to use it here as soon as you get that written down.
Fine. Is that XY or?
It is x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2. Now you might see this, you know, if you look it up somewhere, it might say x2 minus x1. That's okay as long as the pattern is followed here and make it y2 minus y1. So this will work the same way, and I forgot my squared. Squared, right there. Okay, there's a squared on both of them, Irene. Did you get it?
Y1 minus Y2? And it's
But the squared is on both parentheses. I forgot to put that one on there. Okay, and now, since you have a formula, this is quite easy if we knew what all these letters stood for. Okay, this one's easy too, because remember on our coordinate points, the first one is always the X. The second one is always the Y. The first one is always the X. The second one is always the Y. Always, always. Okay? But if we have two X's and two Y's, how do we know which one to use? So we decided we'd just number them. Now when you, pardon? Okay.
You're going to do the -5 and 7?
Yes, but look, this is a comma. I don't, okay, now, so we're just going to number the points. This will be point 1, and so notice I just put some ones there so that I can keep it separate from the coordinates in this point. This is point 2, okay? Now notice that these aren't squares. This is a subscript, which just numbers the X's and numbers the Y. It just keeps us from getting mixed up. Now all you have to do, just like the formulas we used in volume and area and surface area and everything, all we have to do now, write the formula and follow it. So we're going to say distance equals, let me make sure that's on the screen. Okay, distance equals the square root of a bunch of stuff. We write down a parentheses, and then we go find what is the value of x1. It's a -5, and so we put -5, and then we have to put the minus in here because it's part of the formula. Go find x2, which is 7, and then a plus because it's in the formula, another parentheses, squared, sorry. And then another parentheses, y1, 6, and the minus, we have to use the minus, and the y2 is 2 squared. Okay? So we have everything in our formula, and we just have to do the math. That's it. So let's do it slow and easy. Here's the distance equals square root. We're going to work the stuff underneath. Okay? This is the same at -5 minus 7 is a -12 because they're both negatives, squared, plus 6 minus 2 is going to be 4 squared. And so moving on down to square root of anything squared is going to become positive because this -12 times another -12. Negative times negative gives you a positive 144 plus 4 squared is 16. D equals the square root of 160. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Which equals approximately, get a calculator, And the answers in your multiple choice will come out two different, they may be in two different formats. So you may see this format, 4 square roots of 10. They may be in terms of, in radical form, or it may be in decimal form, which is approximately 12.65. This approximate sign right here means that I rounded that. It's not equal. This is equal. This is approximate because I rounded.
Okay. I put mine in, did I do this right?
Let me look. Yes, but then it has to be the square root of this because you didn't put the square root. Yes, you did correctly.
And I can just add the square root there, I have to start over.
Start over with square root. Okay, those of you remotely, are you good here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Practice one together, and then we'll do one more formula.
Oh. Okay, and then you round it up.
Irene, did you get it fine?
No, I need a calculator, ma'am. I'm sorry I didn't get it early.
And I'm sorry, I always forget.
apologize for the interruption.
What we're gonna do, we have to put us a little note, huh?
I don't have to
So we
mess
can remember.
up your video.
I appreciate that so much, your little ornery smile. Okay, if y'all have this, let's try one and I'll give y'all a head start. Waiting. Okay. Got it? Okay. Any questions on this one? Because what we're going to do is do it one more time, and I'll let y'all have a head start. We're going to use the very same formula, but I'm going to change the coordinates. Okay?
Okay.
So now my coordinates, let's do, let's do 2, -3, and 0, -5. Okay, here are the coordinates for this one. And I want you to find out how long the segment would be that would join these 2 points. How long the segment would be. I'm going to give you a head start and clean off this. My stuff. Okay, I'm going to jump in behind y'all and start the work. If you don't want to see the answer yet, don't look.
12 square. It's 3.
Bless you. Bless you, bless you.
How do you do a square?
There's a little button on the left-hand side with the X squared.
So with the numbers, like you do the square?
8.
Oh, yeah, you have to get second, and then the square root, and then you can put it in.
Oh,
I tried to do that on my calculator and it said, it just told me error.
Okay. I would have to see what's on your calculator. I don't know if I'll be able to see it.
It's okay.
Yeah, go ahead and look at mine and see.
Minus, that's
no, like the
or
more
negative, you get negative, and then
If you messed up, chances are it would have been right here because the formula has a minus in it, so you have to put the minus. But then when you go to find the y2, it's a negative, so you also have to have the negative. Two negatives right here together make a plus, and that's where you come up with this positive 2. Y'all see?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give the ones here in class just a little bit longer. I'm going to plot these 2 points for you.
Equals,
2,
okay.
negative 1, 2, 3,
Plus.
and 0, 5.
Is 8. Two. 3. Okay.
Okay, did you get this answer? Anybody have any questions about if you didn't get these answers? And the answer that you would use on your test will depend on what the multiple choice answers are, the ones that are given. Both of these mean exactly the same. It just depends on what form they're asking you to choose from. So using the calculator that we use in class is very important to use that on the test.
yeah, it gives you a little shortcut right here in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to the square root of 8, then you can go in there and do it again and.
Yes, yes. The way you did it, Rebecca, on your calculator, the only thing that might cause you problems is you might forget to take the square root.
Mhm.
Okay, so always remember that because I'm betting they'll put that number in the multiple choice without the square root.
Right, right.
Okay, so be
Right.
very, very careful. You're going to think, aha, I found it, but you didn't.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah,
any
I had to
question?
redo the part. I redid the part on -3, -5
Yes.
square. I did that because I forgot the plus. So it came out
Yes.
the same answer. I got both the answers.
So you found out what you did incorrectly, right?
Yeah.
Good. And Isabel, you're getting the right answer?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay, Josh?
Yes.
Josh, you doing okay?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can now. I can now. Okay, now I'm going to move this back over to the coordinate plane for you to look at something. Now, what I did, oh, it may be easy to see, maybe not. I hope you can see it enough. Okay, I took those 2 points that we just used, the 0, -5, and the 2, -3, and I drew a line segment. Now this time it's awfully short, but what you have found, the 2.83, is how long this segment is. Y'all see how long it is? So if they say on your test, find the length, you're finding the distance. It's the same thing, okay? Or if they say, how far is it from the coffee shop to the gym? You know, how far is it? You're still going to use the distance formula when you find out how far you have to travel from here to here. It's always the distance formula. Are you guys okay with this?
Yeah.
Yes, Irene?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, now the last formula that we're going to use today, and this is the last thing that we're going to do for today. This will take you all the way through that first packet that I sent to you. Packet number 1, you'll be able to do everything. So what we're going to do, I'm just erasing really quick. I shouldn't have erased that, but I will. The other thing that they give you a formula for, and this is not on your formula chart either, but this one is, it looks difficult, but it's not at all. When you start to use it, it makes perfect sense. Now that we have found out how far this is, maybe the people that live here and the people that live here want to meet halfway. So where's halfway? In the middle, that's exactly right. But it kind of looks like it's about right here. And sometimes it may look like it's on the intersection. I didn't even find the middle there. Okay, it's more like here. But anyhow, what we're going to do is find out the exact coordinates that is exactly halfway between these two locations. And the way we're going to do that is use a midpoint formula. So moving back to the board, we're going to see how close we're going to get. The midpoint formula is quite easy, although it looks funky when you see it. I don't think it is. Distance and midpoint. Okay, here's the midpoint formula. And our points were 0, -5, and 2, -3. We're using the same segment, but this time we're going to try to find the midpoint. So this is our X, and this is our Y, and this is our X, and this is our Y. Always X, Y, X, Y. So we're going to number these the 1s and these the 2s just to keep them separate. And your formula to find the midpoint is X1 plus X2 divided by 2, comma, Y1 plus Y2 divided by 2.
That's the formula.
That's the whole formula. Now, this looks crazy, but look what you're doing. If you're finding halfway in between, then you find the average of the X's. Add them together, divide by 2, and you'll find out the halfway point. Add the y's together, divide by 2, you'll find out the y.
Is that the Y2?
Yeah, you add, that's y1 and y2, x1 and x2.
Oh,
See, you're adding the x's and divide by 2. You're adding the y's and divide by 2. Okay? It is. It is. And when you start to use it, you'll see. Okay, so here we go. We have parentheses. We're going to take the 2 x's and add them together. So I have 0 plus 2 divided by 2 and a comma. Then I add the y's together. -5 plus -3 divided by 2. You'll see so far? Just adding the x's together, I'm averaging actually, finding the halfway point. And when I do this, I'm going to have 2 over 2, -8 over 2. And so my midpoint is going to be 2 divided by 2 is 1, comma, -4. That's my midpoint.
One, yeah. Okay.
So after y'all see that, then we're going to come over here and see how close we were. Okay? So 1, -4 is supposed to be the midpoint. We'll come back to our segment. And I'm going to plot, what is it? 1. So I start at the origin. I go 1 and then -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right where we thought it was. Looky there. Midpoint. What do you think?
Pretty simple.
Yes. Are you ready? Are you ready to practice?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Isabel and Josh, you should already have the handouts. I sent those last week.
Yeah, I got
Yes,
them.
ma'am.
Okay, packet
I'll do
1,
something.
I'm sorry? I can send you, Rachel, but I don't think it'll make any difference because you don't have a printer. Is there?
No, I said I'll work on something else, and when I go to school tomorrow, I'll just get a packet from you
That sounds good. Okay,
because I got everything else wrote down.
that's fine. So what do y'all think? You're ready to try it on your own?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty simple.
Okay, good. I like this. Tomorrow, we will move on from this to slope, which is what everybody who comes back from taking the GED says, there's slope on the test. And so we're going to hit slope tomorrow. It is not hard, you guys. It's so much easier than following the volume, the surface area, and all those things. Okay? And you all did fine with volume, surface area. Okay?
All right.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I will see you tomorrow.
All right,
Alright.
bye.
Okay, you know I love you.
Bye.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.